Have you ever noticed how a lot of TV shows will show the young ladies chasing after the bad boy? The young woman is chasing after the bad guy. The cynical, emotionally unavailable guy is the one that the woman is going after. And also, the guy that's treating her well, who's attentive, who's kind, who loves her, or is just always been a good person, she's going to reject that guy. So sometimes people say this is just a show, and but at the same time, I believe that subliminal messages can be sort of planted there. So, because a lot of girls always end up liking the guy who is sort of the bad guy. I know, even though my dad did not allow me to date and things like that, there was, at least for a long time, he finally did allow me to, but it was a big no-no for my father, and I can appreciate that right now, and I probably shouldn't have dated who he allowed me to reluctantly. But the person that I liked was always, he wasn't bad, but he was not, you know, I think he could have been better. I think my dad just did not know that he had somewhat, he was hanging with these certain guys, but, his friends, but he would always leave his friends. So it was like for me in high school, walking, and he will always be at the specific corner with all his friends. There had to be about at least 6 or 7 of them all together. But whenever he saw me with my friend, he will always leave his friends, tell his friend, all right, I'll see you guys later. And they'll be teasing him and everything. And he'll come and he'll walk with me and walk me to the train station, and we'll take the train home, and he'll walk me home. He was a nice guy, but he had his ways that like me. But he was, for our age at that time, it wasn't a huge deal. But he never mistreated me. He never hit me. He never cursed at me. He's never been unkind to me. Okay. But I guess he was not a good example. He wasn't a good example because he actually treated me nicely. But I do remember at some point later on, someone who is just the troublemaker, but not too much of a troublemaker, because I didn't want anybody who was just too bad. But being attracted to someone who is known to be maybe a dog or a player, okay? And nowadays, guys, there's so many shows, Korean dramas. Some of them are just like, I know for a fact, like Korean dramas it's always like the same storyline in it, okay? The kids in high school or whatever, same storyline. This guy's very aloft, he's very serious, all the girls are chasing him, and it's like they have to do all this work to get him to recognize them, and then he comes around. And you see that in other shows as well. The bad boy, everybody's going after that guy. But then there is always somebody that genuinely likes the girl, but she doesn't like him for whatever reason. Okay? So there's a message of choose the bad guy and work really hard for him to like you. But these things are scripted. The difference with reality and life is that these things are scripted. Okay? And you may, there are things that you can hide from your children, and there are things that you may say, hey, you guys are not going to look at this, and I don't want you to do this. But you have to make sure that you are still letting your children know about the realities of things that's out there. Okay? Because even whatever you're not allowing them to watch, whatever restrictions you have that they're not allowed to see, you still need to sit down with your children and speak to them about the reality of the world, what's out there, because they're going to run into that. Yes, prayer and talking to your children about the Lord is good. It is important. It is a great foundation. However, you need to talk to your children about the reality of life and things that are out there. The reason why I think that you can do that, because if you look at the Bible, especially in Proverbs teaches a lot about the reality of life. In the book of Proverbs, it warns the young man about it warns a young man about the loose woman, the woman who has brought a bunch of men down into the pits of hell. There are warnings about that. We get warned about not hanging around dangerous people. Identify people who are double-tongued and double-minded, who says nice things with their mouth, but in their heart there's evil. The Bible warns about so many things. So the Bible does teach us a lot about the spiritual things. At the core of all things, we need to be rooted and grounded in the Lord. But you need to be telling your children about the things that happen in life in reality. And so what I'm talking about here, the mindset that girls, you're supposed to look for that bad guy and you're going to just love him, and him rejecting you and him being rude to you, and you're supposed to be begging and chasing him and he's eventually going to like you. Sometimes that will happen. And oddly, this is not just happening with young girls. There are women that have gone through that. Going after a guy that's not doing the right thing, and because you're a Christian, you think you're supposed to keep, allowing the person to do certain things. Oh, I have done this. I have given chance after chance because I was like, well, I'm a Christian. This is what I'm supposed to do. Thank God the Lord schooled me on understanding forgiveness, but implementing wisdom. Forgiving you does not mean I stay with you. And so you have women, grown ladies, who are doing the same thing, chasing after this man who is emotionally available and thinking, if I love you enough, he'll stay. Well, some men, they marry women like that or stay with them because they love them. That man is already in love with himself, and he loves that you love him. And he may weigh weigh his options. Well, there's this girl that I really like over here, but she doesn't have as much things as this lady over here. She's not going to tolerate as much as this one does. And then they look at other things. Do you have things? You have a house, you have a car, you have stuff. Are you an asset? He may have his own things. And so he may think, well, she has connections, she has things, we can build together, our finances combined, I can then do this. You understand? So it's not necessarily that he wants to live off of you, while some men are like that. There's some men, they have their own things, but they look at, hey, having her on my arm, her connections, my connections, our finances, we build it in large, I can get this and that, or I can qualify for other things. And so they'll be with you, but they don't love you because you've shown him that he's the prize. And ironically, sometimes there's somebody that really loved and liked this girl or this woman, and she rejected him. And there's reasons why women will reject someone. Oh, he's so annoying. Oh, he's too short. Oh, he wears sandals and socks. His cheekbones are too wide. His face is too wide. Why is his eyes looking like that? Ooh, his neck nappy. Just different reasons and different things. Ooh, he's got a mullet. Now. Am I saying that you need to force yourself to like somebody? I don't think you should force yourself to like anyone. I don't think you should force yourself. But rather, ask the Lord to guard your heart and to only open up your heart to who you're supposed to be with. But not waste your time trying to chase somebody who does not have those feelings for you. You may buy him things, you may take him on vacations, you want to prove to him that you are a strong, independent woman and all these things that you have, and you're the ones, and you're baking him muffins and cakes and pies and baking him bread by hand and on a wooden stove, and you showing him all these different things that you can do and all of that, and you can, lasso a horse. Okay. There's something deeply ingrained in men where they're going to be turned off by that. They may take what they want, but you're pretty much So we have to, as women, be careful and teach your daughters and your young girls that whatever they may see on television or whatever their friends may tell them, or when they get out there in the world, that this behavior, chasing the bad guy to get him to eventually love you, is not going to happen. So you have to talk to your daughters about these things. Talk to your daughters about and ask the Lord to touch her heart and to guide her in her life. Because, we can tell our daughters anything, but then when it's time for life and situations, it's different. And you always want to be a person your daughters can come to you and talk to you. Because sometimes you may tell your daughter things, and then once she really starts to experience life in situations, as she comes to you to talk to you about it, if you are you're accusing and whatever, you can lose that communication. I'm not saying you're supposed to condone sin and be like, oh, it's okay. But this is where you ask the Lord to teach you how to deal with that, rather than attacking. Because once you do that, she'll never tell you anything else again. The biggest thing that we need to teach our sons as well is how to treat young ladies, and at the same time, how to protect himself against that fast girl. Because girls are fast. In my opinion, I think the girls of today, they are so out there. My daughter was telling me when she was in school, she's going to this, school, everybody's wearing a uniform, and, like a private school. And they have these shirts that they are to have the top buttons done. But this girl had the first 2 buttons open, where you can see down in her chest, and then she put a necklace there. Or 3 buttons, my daughter was telling me. Now, her chest was out. And let me tell you, they didn't have any chest. Okay? So it had to have been 3rd grade. These girls are hot in the tail. My oldest son, I remember, he was home, and this girl, this was years ago, but he was home, and he's quiet. I guess some girls saw him around in the backyard or walking around in the front, and this brazen girl comes and rings my doorbell. And I've seen her walking around the neighborhood before, okay, looking like a hyena in some stank shorts. She had on those little tiny shorts, little tiny shirt, asking me for my son. Honey, Jezebel came to my door in the heat of the summer. Needless to say, it never happened. Okay, let's just put it like that. But we have to teach our sons about these things, because men are visual, boys are visual, and these girls are fast. Some of these girls are fast. So imagine how this girl came to my door in these funky shorts, super short. I mean, the stuff was rolled up like short shorts, all the way up to the very top of her thighs, came to my door asking me for my son. Can you imagine? I couldn't even imagine doing that. Sweaty. She was at my door. So how do our young boys stand strong with these girls that's going to come out and basically offering sex, offering their body, offering lust, want to kiss, letting them cop a feel? These are the things that they're going to be facing, and to know how to avoid these things, how to avoid this woman, this young girl, not go down the road, not go down the way, because it's tougher for them, in my opinion, because sometimes if they fall and they end up sleeping with these girls, depending on how these girls feel, they can get very manipulative. And next thing you know, they're saying that he raped her and all these different things. And that's what you don't want. You don't want him to be a father at a young age. You don't want him to be getting with a girl that's wild and make him feel like he needs to defend himself, or end up having a fight or hitting her. He needs to know how to be gentle and treat a lady right, but at the same time being able to identify these loose types that can incite him to anger and change his life. So there's just so much. And so it's important that we give them the word. That's so important. That they know God, they know how to pray. And then you need to teach them the practical things. You need to talk to them about sex. You need to talk to them and let them know they can get pregnant and they can get someone else pregnant. And we need to talk to them about life and everyday things that's going on. Because if you don't, they're going to go out there and have known nothing. Even the Bible talks about why a man should not spill his sperm on the ground. The Bible talks about everything. Talks about the importance of letting a woman just have her period. Let her go through her time of purification. You don't have to be trying to have sex with her. Let her do her thing. So I believe, as the Bible teaches about spiritual things, there are plenty of examples where you see the Lord is teaching about everyday things, practical things, and there's a lot of things in the Proverbs that's dealing with everyday dealings and challenges that we can face. Teach your children. Prepare them for this world because they're going to be in it. And you don't want them to just be out there flapping and figuring things out and being taught by their friends. They need to have a foundation. They need to have some basic knowledge. And then you trust the Lord to do his perfect work in them. So when things are brought to them, they will know how to deal with it. They will at the very least be able to feel the conviction of Christ, to feel the conviction of the Holy Spirit, to know between right and wrong and to make the right decisions. And God forbid, when and if they do make the wrong decisions, that they'll still come to you and talk to you, and they'll be close enough to God to go to him so he can lead them through and set them on the right path. So I hope this makes sense, guys. There's a lot of stuff on television and other channels and other resources and every way that's trying to influence our children. But teach them the right way, guys. And God will do the rest. All right, God bless.